French spies now have more power to snoop on their own citizens after MPs approved a controversial new surveillance bill. Hundreds joined a protest against the legislation, which critics condemn as giving the government free rein to monitor everyone's private lives. And as RT's Peter Oliver reports now, France is just one of a string of countries willing to sacrifice people's privacy.
The new law sees France join the UK and Germany, among others in Europe, in beefing up powers for state security services. And there seems to be little restraint. In the UK, a recent parliamentary report actually supported claims by the government's intelligence department that by not reading all of the vast amounts of information it collects, it means no mass surveillance has taken place. Here in Germany, well, it's not far behind. Its external spy agency gathers tens of millions of phone records every day, according to leaked files. The post-9/11 Patriot Act in the US is seen by many as the starting point for the erosion of privacy. Documents released by Edward Snowden show that the state collected the telephone records and tracked the online activity of millions of Americans.
You cannot surveil and suspect everybody all the time. It's not even efficient because you will collect so many data, and American experience has showed it that collecting all the time more and more data don't even have the resources to deal with it.
The French government moved to pass this new legislation in the wake of January's Charlie Hebdo attacks. A poll of French citizens showed that 60% would agree to less freedom if it brought better protection. Does the collection of so much data really do anything more than give access to private information to hundreds, if not thousands, of intelligence analysts?
Extension of surveillance powers in France has come under serious criticism, not least because of the lack of judicial oversight. The new snooping bill will allow the government to tap the emails and phone calls of anyone potentially linked to terror suspects. And on top of that, internet service providers will be forced to install tracking equipment. One French privacy campaigner told us that the new law simply goes too far.
In the context of the Paris attacks of 3 months ago, the government is trying to use this the emotion sparked by the January attacks to actually pass this law through a fast-track parliamentary procedure, avoiding any debate and distorting the truth about what this bill is really about. It's not just about terrorism. It allows the intelligence agencies to resort to surveillance for a broad range of motives, scientific, economic espionage, or monitoring social movements.
And there are concerns over privacy in Canada too. Parliament there is considering an anti-terror law which would also expand the state's internal snooping powers. Critics, though, warn the move will undermine basic democratic rights.
I think what's happened is the Canadian government has been moving steadily to the right. I think this is like their final effort to really seal up debate and try to ensconce themselves in power. A lot of this is going to be addressed against, for example, environmentalists and Native peoples opposing the very unpopular efforts of the government. There's a lot of things that are going on in this bill in Parliament that are even perhaps worse than what we're seeing in the US.
Still to come this hour, racial miscalculation. A French mayor, aiming to warn of the threat posed by immigration, instead finds himself attacked for counting school children with Muslim names. And the largest armoured battle in history as the world prepares to mark 70 years since the defeat of Nazi Germany. We remember the Battle of Kursk, when thousands of tanks clashed in what became one of the most decisive battles on the Eastern Front. Next, Islamic State is doing its best to prove it's more than just a militant group of extremist fighters. They have now reopened a 5-star luxury hotel in the group's stronghold, the Iraqi city of Mosul. The building has had all exterior decoration removed, but the comfort level, well, that is undiminished, with a swimming pool and tennis courts among the facilities open to guests. Of course, the hotel is run under the strict rules of Sharia law. Smoking, drinking, alcohol, dancing and gambling, all prohibited. Women have to be dressed from head to toe, even wearing gloves. For now, the hotel is mainly being used to put up visiting senior ISIL commanders. Nada Hashemi, a professor from Denver University, says that the project sends an alarming message to the world.
I think that's exactly what it is. I think it's an attempt to send a message to the world that the Islamic State is not a passing phenomenon, it's not a dying phenomenon, but it has a sense of permanence and stability. And if you want to come and visit the Islamic State, you can stay at our wonderful tourist hotel, bring your family if you want, and have a nice time. But I don't think anyone is going to take this seriously. It's really an exercise in propaganda.
And the hotel's not the first project aimed at diversifying the ISIL brand. Fighters and civilians can sign up for bus tours around what the group sees as its caliphate. It's also published a travel brochure with pictures from inside Mosul to attract visitors. And the group is always on the hunt for new members, offering positions ranging from teachers to press officers. Nada Hashemi says that ISIL's strength is growing all the time.
According to U.S. intelligence estimates, if we want to believe them, in the Iraq theater of the conflict, approximately 25% of the territory that was formerly controlled by ISIS has been lost. The Iraqi army has captured that territory. But of course, ISIS is fundamentally a byproduct of the conflict in Syria. That's where they are located. That's where 2/3 of their military assets are located. And so all the reports that we have from Syria is that ISIS is still very much a permanent feature of the political and military landscape. But I think as most people realize, this is a phenomenon that's not going away anytime soon.
Do stay with us if you can. Plenty more news still to come for you. See you after this short break.